Hello, so today this tutorial number 2, part 2, we're going to color this guy, and I decided to give him a dark skin color, this nice brown. I'm testing it out first, of course, and maybe some crazy hair color. I really like turquoise and teal colors, so I think I'm going to work with these. Yeah, that looks awesome, these two colors. All right. So I do not use my paintbrush nib of my Copic markers to color in my skin. I try to avoid that as much as I can because the paintbrush nib on the Copics is very fragile and it can break. You can replace those nibs, but they actually are quite expensive. I think they cost around $10 for 3 of those tips. So why using it if you don't need to? I really only use the paintbrush on my Copic marker when I do very detailed and delicate work, like try to get realistic hair. You will see it later on when I color in this hair. That's when I use the paintbrush nib for the very fine lines. Next, I'm going to color in the hair with these teal colors here, which I really love. But I'm going to indicate where I want to put the highlights first, and I'm going to use the brush nib for that. In this case, I'm going to draw highlights like a star shape in here. Using my wider nib, not my brush nib, to fill this in, and I use small circle motions to get a smooth result so you don't see marker lines afterwards. Here I'm going to be careful to not draw over my highlights. Have left the eyes white, so I'm gonna let's see what that looks like. I'm not sure if I'm liking this yet. Looks a bit crazy. We will see. Next, I'm going to color in, before I do any shading, I'm going to color in the book, basic colors, and this part up here. Let's talk about how to shade the hair. Now, whenever I put my second layer with shade on it, drop shadow or shading of something, I always check out my color chart first. So I recorded all the colors I've been using in this art piece so far, and then based on these colors, I can decide how I want to shade it. Now, you could choose, if you want a very subtle shading, you could just choose to use the same colors and do a second layer. So this is the BG15. Regarding the hair, is my darkest one that I use. I could use the same one and say, okay, I want a bit of shading in those tips on the bangs. So I can go in there and just put a second layer on here, and notice how it's getting just ever so light, slightly darker, just a hint of darkness. If you like that style, then you can just go with that. However, if you like to have more contrast in it, you might actually decide to go with a darker, deeper blue or a green, whichever direction you prefer, in order to get a stronger contrast. So in general, oh, Earl, are you done here? Okay, goodbye. In general, I like strong contrast, so I'm gonna pick a pretty dark, some kind of blue maybe. Let's try this one. That's still pretty dark, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try it right on my test paper. So I'll go a little bit here and see if I can blend this into this color. There's a very strong contrast, but I think I can make this work. Here, let's try this. So I'll start in my tip here and put some blue in here before it dries, and I'm gonna blend it. Yeah, I think that comes out really nicely. I like this. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my blue here into this tip as well, do the same thing, brush it out upward, and I'm gonna immediately brush my BG15 into it. Oh, I love it. Same thing here. And then notice how I have both markers open at the same time, so I can act fast. So I'm going to continue with that all the way around with the tip of my nose. I really like the fading of the hair, the different colors, but I'm not 100% convinced yet. Before I add anything more, I decide to actually move on and put shading into the arm and the clothes, the face, and the book. And I'm going to look at my color chart, and I think for now I'm just going to choose the same color to add some shading. So the hair usually throws a little bit of a shadow on the face. See, that looks pretty nice. Just kind of along my hair, put a little sort of like a drop shadow in here. I want to move on to the book shades. Shading the book. Let's see, I use these colors for my book. I think I'm going to use this as a shading color on top of the light of this color, which is the B23. Let me see if I find it. Yes. Going around, I don't think I'm going to use my paintbrush nib. So I want to have a shadow underneath the character. So starting right here, the arm throws a shadow, casts a shadow onto the book, around the little arm here, all the way back into here. And then of course the face, but since the book is curved, this drop shadow is kind of also curved. So it looks like he has a pointy nose, but it's really the shadow that gets cast on a curved area. I seem to be having cat hair on my page, so I find it in my little marker tips. There's a bunch of cat hair that it picks up from the page, from the paper. Anything else? Actually, I have to color this in, and then I'm going to make a final decision on this part, and I'm also not convinced about these eyes yet.